Hi, my name is Kate Yoakum, and I'm the director for SRSLY Chelsea. First of all, we are so glad you're here, and second of all, we are so grateful that you are taking the time out of your busy schedule to make a commitment to Chelsea youth and their well-being. When we asked the kids what this revamp meant to them, they all said that knowing we were pairing together mental health and substance use prevention together was super important because of the relationship between the two, and because some of them didn't have an adult they could trust with these topics, or a safe space to exist in where they didn't have access to substances and weren't pressured to use them, and also felt like they could have conversations around seeking support, whether that was for mental health, substance use, substance abuse, or both of them together. So by watching this video, by taking a training in the next 3 months, and by putting up that decal, you are signaling to the youth in your community that you have put in the time and effort to be that adult for them. And that, to me, is everything.
First up, mental health. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy choices. When someone is unable to do some or all of these things, they may have a mental health condition, which is something that disrupts someone's thinking, feeling, mood, ability to relate to others, and daily functioning. It is important to know that mental health and mental health challenges, while related, are not the same thing. Everyone can work to improve their mental health, regardless if they have faced challenges in the past. Throughout the next few slides, we'll be taking a look into mental health challenges. Mental health challenges are common. 1 in 6 youth and 1 in 4 adults have one. Some of the most common mental health conditions include anxiety and mood disorders, substance use disorders, and eating disorders. There are many symptoms of mental health challenges, and they can vary greatly from person to person. However, there's a few common symptoms that you may see in those experiencing a mental health challenge. Everyone gets sad, quiet, and withdrawn every now and then. We get into an argument with our partner, we had a rainy day at work. These events may trigger sad thoughts, but what we are talking about here is sadness for greater than 2 weeks and withdrawal away from family. Another warning sign may be feeling anxious, worried, fearful, which are often emotions accompanied by racing heart rate and physical discomfort such as fast breathing. Individuals with mental health conditions may even have sleep problems. Those with anxiety may have a harder time falling asleep, and those with depression may oversleep, although still feeling fatigued most of the time. They may exhibit weight or appetite changes. This is often the case with those who have eating disorders. They may use negative coping strategies, such as using alcohol and drugs excessively to deal with their conditions. These are negative ways of dealing with life stressors. When we examine how severe the conditions are, we usually look at the 3 Ds: distress, deviance, and dysfunction. Severe mental health conditions cause extreme distress, and those are associated with behaviors, examples, self-harm, that are not the norm and may impact one's day-to-day functioning. There's a lot of factors that influence our mental health and well-being. Research has shown that poorer family environment is associated with less support seeking and more mental distress. There's no doubt that a supportive social environment contributes to better mental well-being. As for life stressors, we are experiencing a range of life stressors on a daily basis. These can include traumatic events that happened when you were a child or when you're an adult now. In terms of society and culture, we are often told that we should be doing something, how we should be doing it, and when it should happen. The number of outside interferences that we navigate every day can impact one's mental well-being. Studies have shown that our genetics can play an important role in mental health, including the development of mental health disorders. Our bodies also constantly interact with our external environment. This also shapes our mental health. In past years, a lot of psychological research was limited to the individual, but in recent research, they've acknowledged and examined external factors, such as even pollution, that may influence our cognitive abilities and emotional health. The bottom line is that mental health conditions result from a complex interaction of biological, psychological, and environmental factors. It's not just one thing, but a combination that contributes to and maintains our mental well-being. So let's talk about stigma. Stigma is the negative belief or idea about those who are different from us. For example, you may have heard, maybe on a social media post, that all people who have mental illness become violent at some point in their lives. That's a myth that perpetuates the stigma, and it's absolutely untrue. The truth is, people with mental health conditions are more likely to be victims of violence. This is just one example of how stigma can affect those with mental health challenges, and why it's really important to take that step to reduce stigma in our community. The first step in reducing stigma is to address the elephant in the room. We can't reduce stigma until we accept that it exists. Once this happens, there are many steps we can take to reduce it. First, talk about mental health. Whether it's family, friends, youth in the community, talking about mental health allows it to become a more normal topic to address in conversation. Another important step is providing support and compassion to those around you, no matter what they're going through. Next, continue to educate yourself. This video is the first step in that education. And share what you learn with others, whether on social media or in person. And finally, learn the appropriate, non-stigmatizing language to use and help others around you learn it as well, because language matters. Okay, so for language, we talk about person-first language, and it matters. It's when you put the person before their disability or challenge. For example, you would say a person with autism versus an autistic person. If you are ever unsure of how to refer to someone, you can always ask them. This makes sure you are referring to a person in the way they're feeling comfortable with. Another thing to think about in terms of language is how we phrase things. The chart on the screen breaks down a few examples of this, using terms like wild instead of crazy. Help remove some of the stigmatizing language around mental health challenges. I want to also take a moment to talk a little more about the last two rows in the table. When it comes to suicide, saying failed gives the connotation that a completed suicide attempt would have been a positive thing or a success. Similarly, committed gives the idea that a person is bad or did something bad. We want to stay away from tying a good or bad connotation to the act of suicide. Now that we've spent some time reviewing mental health and stigma, we're going to move into learning more about educating ourselves.
My name is Sarah Wilchinsky, and I am the Mental Health Awareness and Training Coordinator. Following this introductory video, you are required to complete additional mental health trainings to maintain your safe home status. Thankfully, we have a number of local organizations that offer these trainings at no cost to you. These include Youth Mental Health First Aid, Question, Persuade, Refer, known as QPR, and NAMI Basics. The first training we want to talk to you about is Youth Mental Health First Aid, which is a training designed for adults who regularly interact with young people. This course is offered by Chelsea Hospital and introduces common mental health challenges for youth, reviews typical youth development, and teaches a 5-step action plan for how to help young people in both crisis and non-crisis situations. Topics covered include anxiety, depression, substance use, disorders in which psychosis may occur, disruptive behavior disorders, including ADHD and eating disorders. This training includes a 2-hour self-paced portion and a 5 to 6 hour instructor-led training, which can be virtual or in person. The next training we want to talk about is also offered by Chelsea Hospital and is Question, Persuade, Refer, commonly known as QPR. This training is for anyone 14 years of age or older and teaches them the warning signs of a suicide crisis, how to intervene with someone who's at risk, and how to refer them to appropriate professional help and resources. This 1-hour training can be completed 2 ways, either online in a self-paced format or in person with an instructor-led training. The final training we want to talk about is one that we have partnered with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, referred to as NAMI, to offer, and that is NAMI Basics. This is a 6-session educational program for parents, caregivers, and other family members who provide care for youth ages 22 and younger who are experiencing mental health symptoms. This course covers the impact mental health conditions can have on your entire family, different types of mental health care professionals, available treatment options and therapies, an overview of the public mental health care system, school and juvenile justice systems, and resources to help you navigate all of these different systems. It also teaches you how to prepare for and respond to crisis situations and the importance of taking care of yourself. NAMI Basics is available both in person and online through a self-paced on-demand course. And this in-person course is taught by a trained team with lived experience raising a child with a mental health condition. They know what you're going through because they've been there too. And the on-demand program is guided by parents and family members with lived experience, but is self-paced and available 24/7. The on-demand option offers the flexibility of participating in the course on your schedule. Both formats provide identical information, strategies, and opportunities to connect with other parents and caregivers. To access the online trainings or see what in-person trainings we have scheduled, please visit the safehome page at SRSLY.org. We just covered a number of trainings that will be available for you to complete in order to maintain your safe home status. Until then, though, we have a few important things that we'd like to cover with you, including levels of mental health care, what is a crisis situation, when to consult emergency services, and other resources we have available in our community. Mental health care ranges from outpatient treatments, including therapy, counseling, 12-step programs, and more, to inpatient treatment for people who are in emergency situations and intend to harm themselves, need to regain nutrients or achieve a healthy intake of food, or need to withdraw from drugs or alcohol. While it is not your job to determine which level of care a person may need, you should know what is a crisis situation and when you should contact emergency services. NAMI defines a mental health crisis as any situation in which a person's behavior puts them at risk of hurting themselves or others and/or prevents them from being able to care for themselves or function effectively in the community. A person experiencing a mental health crisis can't always clearly communicate their thoughts, feelings, needs, or emotions. They may also find it difficult to understand what others are saying. It is important to empathize and connect with the person's feelings, stay calm, and try to de-escalate the crisis. Techniques that may de-escalate the situation include staying calm and being patient, avoiding overreacting, listening to the person non-judgmentally, moving slowly, and giving them space. It is important to avoid touching the person and arguing with them, as these actions can make the situation worse. If you are able to de-escalate a crisis in a reasonable amount of time, seek outside assistance and resources, such as a psychiatrist, therapist, or family physician. We would like to take a moment to address assisting someone in a non-crisis situation. If the person has insurance, the first step in this process is also contacting the insurance company to see what options they may have. This can be a daunting task when we're feeling our best, so offering to support someone through this can be very helpful. If you are unable to de-escalate the crisis and the situation becomes life-threatening, meaning an individual is imminently threatening to harm themselves or others, severely disoriented or out of touch with reality, has a severe inability to function, is distraught and out of control, or if serious property damage is occurring, the situation has moved into a mental health emergency. At this point, you should call 911 and ask for immediate assistance. When you call 911, tell them someone is experiencing a mental health crisis and explain the nature of the emergency, your relationship to the person in crisis, and whether there are weapons involved. Ask the 911 operator to send someone trained to work with people with mental illnesses, such as a crisis intervention team. Another important thing to note when concerning a mental health crisis is that a medical crisis always supersedes a mental health crisis. If the person is experiencing a medical crisis, always start with calling 911. You can pause the video here to review the flowchart on the screen that breaks down what you should do in a mental health crisis or emergency. The information we just provided gives you a quick snapshot of a mental health crisis and mental health emergencies. This topic will be covered in more detail in the trainings you'll take that we have previously mentioned. If you'd like to learn more in the meantime, please read Navigating a Mental Health Crisis, a NAMI resource guide for those experiencing a mental health emergency. Now that we have talked about levels of care and what constitutes a crisis situation, we want to bring your attention to a few resources that we would like you to be aware of, starting with the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. The Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention and crisis resources for you or your loved ones, and best practices for professionals in the United States. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline can be reached by calling 1-800-273-8255. One important thing to note is that starting July 16, 2022, this helpline will be transitioned to a 3-digit national number, 988. The original line will remain in operation, but the new number will make it easier for people to seek help while also supporting text messaging services. To learn more about this line and the transition to 988, visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. In addition to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, there is also the Crisis Text Line. The crisis text line provides free 24/7, high-quality, text-based mental health support and crisis intervention by empowering a community of trained volunteers to support people in their moments of need. This line can be reached by texting HOME, HOME, to 741-741. To learn more about this text line, visit crisistextline.org. Next, we want to move into talking about some of our local resources, beginning with our Chelsea Hospital Behavioral Health Navigators. These navigators help people understand what kind of behavioral health care they may need, find and get them connected to behavioral health resources in their community, and problem-solve issues that may be getting in the way of receiving care that someone needs. A behavioral health navigator can assist people in finding a therapist, psychiatrist, support group, and other resources to deal with any of the challenges they may be facing. They can be reached by emailing sjmcnavigator@stjoeshealth.org. Another local resource we would like you to be aware of is the Washtenaw County CARES program. This program, when used in a non-crisis situation, is open to anyone regardless of what county they live in. CARES is a 24/7 team of mental health professionals, peer support specialists, case managers, nurses, and psychiatry specialists that provide short-term mental health services to individuals who are unable to access mental health care in the community, including those without insurance. Services that are provided by this team include suicide assessment, individual and group therapy, case management, peer support, psychiatry, and nursing. In addition, CARES also offers crisis services to those located in Washtenaw County. To access CARE services, please call 734-544-3050. The final resource we would like you to be aware of is one that you may choose to use yourself as a Safe Home participant, and it is the NAMI Friends and Family Support Group. This is a peer-led support group for any adult with a friend or family member who has experienced symptoms of a mental health condition. By sharing your experiences in a safe setting, you can develop supportive relationships and gain hope and insight from the challenges and successes of others facing similar experiences. NAMI's support groups are unique because they followed a structured model, ensuring everyone has the opportunity to be heard and to get what they need. This group is free for participants, does not endorse specific medical therapies or treatments, and is confidential. There are multiple options for groups in Washtenaw County, and more information about dates, times, and locations can be found by visiting namiwc.org. To find more resources in our local area, please visit the resource guides at SRSLY.org. We have spent the past few minutes reviewing mental health and stigma, mental health trainings available to you, an overview of mental health care and handling a mental health crisis, and resources available to you. So you may be asking yourself, now what? Well, until you take your mental health training, we encourage you to stay educated.
Make sure that people know they're validated in their experiences.
Help others learn to not fear helping those in need.
Use what you know to make a difference in the lives of others.
Talk to people you know and love about their experience. Learn about their journey.
Let people know that they're loved exactly as they are, and you want to help them how they need.
And be a seriously safe home.